Heads of security intelligence agencies and chief of defense staff brainstorm on new strategies for enhanced national security.
Crucial talks between Senate's Finance Committee and key MDAs target economic resuscitation.
As states battle cholera, NCDC warns of more diseases this rainy season.
On Good Morning Nigeria today, we will discuss local government autonomy.
Okay, so last week, Thursday, the Supreme Court gave judgment on local government autonomy, granting permission for funds standing to the credits of local government councils to be directly channeled to them from the Federation account as against joint accounts owned by both state and local government.
Now, this judgment is generating several debates. One of such is that of lacuna created between the decision and the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Well, we should say alleged lacuna. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde precisely raised the issue and cited Section 162, subsection 6 of the 1999 Constitution, and it's not the only one. Now, that section of the Constitution indicates, and I quote, that each state shall maintain a state joint local government account into which shall be paid all allocations to the local government councils of the state from the Federation account and also from the government of the state.
All right. Thank you, Claire Adelabu Abdurazak, SEN.
Of course, I'm learned.
The judgment also placed an allocation freeze on councils run by caretaker committees.
And that is prompting states like Kebbi, Kogi, and about 20 others to set, well, some others to set timetables for council elections.
Now, some states are, however, still ignoring the Supreme Court judgment and have directed their caretaker committees to keep running local government areas in their states.
All right. Now, another twist in all of this is the demand by Association of Local Government of Nigeria, ALGON, for increased allocations to the 774 local governments. The reason? To enable them tackle challenges of grassroots development.
Should we say Oliver Twist?
Not really.
You get financial autonomy and you want more?
No, not really. Well, if you may.
Okay. Well, we begin a conversation. We actually began this conversation last week, Friday. Of course, if you're a regular on Good Morning Nigeria, which of course you should be. And some of the issues were discussed by our guests. We looked at the implications of the Supreme Court judgment. So today we'll continue the issues as regards this development. And another set of guests will be joining us this morning.
Precisely. Indeed, it was a robust conversation we had last week, Friday, and there were many issues. But the consensus of a larger majority of Nigerians is that this is coming, it's the right step in the right direction that the Supreme Court, had taken. And so many Nigerians are welcoming the judgment, but of course, there's always the other side to the coin. So, and that's why, again, on Good Morning Nigeria, we will be discussing the other side of the coin in the judgment on local government autonomy. I am Claire Adilabu Abdurazak. I join my sister. Have you introduced yourself? Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. So I welcome you warmly to Wednesday's edition of Good Morning Nigeria. It's a rainy, wet Wednesday. And once again, please join us and get high only on Good Morning Nigeria.
All right, I'm Henry John, and of course I join Claire to welcome you to the program. Of course, the newspaper review will be coming up shortly in the course of the program, but for now let's have the morning news. I've got the beautiful Mina Daniels right here. Mina, good morning to you.
I wanted to cook her, but let me just hold my thoughts.
Please
Mina?
hold it. Good morning, Claire and Ian. Hold it, and I can't wait for this very interesting discussion this morning. Good morning, Nigeria. Here is the news. As directed by President Bola Tinubu, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has engaged heads of security and intelligence agencies to review operational strategies in the South-South to curb security threats and improve oil production.
Oil thefts and vandalism have become a major national issue. We do have line of sight around what must be done, what should be done. Mr. President has directed the CDS to ensure that we contain this within the shortest frame of time.
We're going to work together as a team. All the operations will be harmonized.
We need the cooperation of everybody. All agencies are collaborating. We need the cooperation of members of the public.
And in line with President Tinubu's administration's efforts to improve the nutritional status of Nigerians, the National Council on Nutrition has approved new measures to combat malnutrition and food insecurity in Nigeria. Vice President Kashim Shettima at a stakeholders meeting called for active and proactive participation from all involved.
It was a meeting whereby the Ministry of Health laid out the initiatives for tackling nutrition, the nutrition crisis, we all call it. And that, of course, involves working with expectant mothers and, of course, the children, particularly for the first 1,000 days of their lives.
The Senate Committee on Finance has met with heads of key ministries and agencies of government as it seeks for a more effective strategy to revamp the economy.
And we're very optimistic that by December this country will be net exporter. That means combination of production coming from us and also from the Dangote refinery and other smaller producing companies that we know are in line to do this.
I've come to realize that the easiest way for Nigeria to come out of its economic problems is through the oil and gas sector.
We have had negativities in the economy, and now we are trying to bring the positivities to work.
As the rains intensify, cholera cases are also increasing across the country, and the Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, is saying other epidemic-prone diseases such as yellow fever, Lassa fever, and meningitis are now being reported to be on the rise.
Some states may not be reporting because they feel it's a stigma. Because if you say, you have cholera in a state, they may not like it. But the fact is that if they don't report, they are endangering the lives of their people.
And the Rwandan President Paul Kagame wins fourth term in office in a landslide victory of 99.15% of the votes cast in Monday's presidential election. And that's the news for now. Good Morning Nigeria continues shortly after the break with Claire and Ian.
The federal government of Nigeria warns vandals of national assets, electricity transmission towers, cables and other facilities to desist from this act of sabotage. Vandalism is a serious crime punishable under the law. Vandalizing electrical equipments will affect millions of Nigerians, including your loved ones. Remember that national assets belong to all of us, hence the need to protect them. Report all cases of suspicious movement around electrical facilities to security agencies. When you see something, say something. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation in collaboration with the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Office of the National Security Advisor.
Did you know that a quarter of the world's deaths from malaria is in Nigeria? And the reason being a mosquito that spreads malaria, a disease that puts everyone's life in distress. We believe that protection and prevention is the best cure in the fight to end malaria. Mortein insecticide with its improved formulation kills 100% mosquitoes that spread malaria. So, spread the message of how we can fight to end malaria with Mortein. Mortein, our #1 choice.
We're live in the open market for Epic 10X Challenge.
My people, today now.
Today, I will show you how the power of new Epic 10X gives your toilet a better cleaning than bleach.
Than bleach?
Yes, so.
Impossible.
Toilets have stains which bleach cannot clean effectively. But Epic is thicker and sticks better,
which gives 10X better cleaning versus bleach and kills germs.
Oh, wow. You can now see that Epic is better than bleach.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we swear in colors, with undying demand. We make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Diversity is unique, we are more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, strengthening unity, we know they carry love. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Thank you for staying with us. It's Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of Nigerian Television Authority, Africa's largest TV network, and you can't beat our reach. Up next, newspaper review.
All right, so we've got our newspaper reviewer, Chekudi Okoli Ugbaja, with us this morning. Chekudi, good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning, my dear Nyere. How are you doing?
Very well.
It's a bit cold out there,
Yeah.
But we thank God that we're still healthy.
Everything has its time and
Oh,
season.
sure.
You know, and I know those who will be very happy at this moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course,
we
the farmers.
we know
constituency.
them. We know them.
By the way, is it the weather that's responsible for the calmness this morning?
You see, somebody told me the other time, Chukudi, have you talked to your doctor? You could actually be suffering from hyperactivity. So I'm trying to start reforming myself.
If it is hyperactivity, then we are good. We are good with it.
And I think that reform is necessary.
It could be worse. Claire, we came here to review newspapers.
If it's hyperactivity, we are good with it. Let's begin with the Punch. And this morning, the Punch front page is quite loaded. Quite loaded. So many things. I don't know. But let's take the lead story. The lead story is on local government autonomy, as expected. 13 states rush to hold council polls. And by the way, this story continues on page 2. But the riders come, says, Bauchi fixes LG poll for August 19. Kebbi election holds October 19. Jigawa, Imo, Anambra, Abia, Katsina, Kebbi, and Benue set for exercise. At least something is happening. And again, the protest in Kenya continues unabated, and the picture stories you see, and I almost, held my heart, but fortunately it's not in our country, it's in Kenya. 1 killed, journalist shot in Kenya, fresh protest, and some of the placards there, it's quite obvious what the protest is all about. But back home, the other story is trending just at the foot of the paper. Court declines MFLA's request for foreign medical trip. It's on page 7. Court remands 98 in Benue prison for violent protests. It's on pages 4 and 5. And Ganduje spent 240 million naira state funds on personal lawsuits. That's according to Kano. You want to find out details of that on page 25. This story is according to this paper. Quickly, just a little, above the nameplate, you find minimum wage saga continues and Labour threatens 30-day strike, alleges plan to decentralize talks, and it's on page 17. Federal government warns 22 states of 5-day massive flooding. It's on page 28. And NNPCL meets military police to curb oil theft. Better late than never. That story is on page 7. Food security. Reps invite CDS minister over ungoverned spaces. Details of that on page 25. I hand over now to Yari.
All right, thank you, Claire. Let's quickly take a look at the Blueprint newspaper now. And the lead story here says, for maximum output, that's the kicker. It says, Tinubu orders CDS to end oil theft, criminality in Niger Delta. The writer says, we're set to carry out the president's directive. And that's according to Musa. All right, away from that, quickly, we have this trending report on our universities. And the report here says, federal government has no plan to sell universities to private investors. The minister is credited right there, and page 7 has all the details. And of course, this is a worrying situation as regards cholera. NCDC records 3,623 cholera cases, 103 deaths in 34 states, including the FCT. Not a good one. You want to see what's going on and be sure that you're safe. Above the masthead, Senate frowns at delay in execution of $2.8 billion AKK gas pipelines. Page 6 has got that story. And of course, Kano crisis is still in the news. And this time around, we have Yusuf creates 3 second-class emirates to appoint new emirs. Government files fresh charges against Ganduje. Looks like Kano will continue to remain in the news as far as this is concerned. But let's just take a look at what the FAC report is all about. The headline here says federal government, states, local governments share 1.354 trillion naira in June. You want to find out what your state got and maybe your local government. All right, let's take a look at the Nation newspaper now. The Nation leads with CDS raises joint security force in renewed anti-oil theft battle. Of course, the riders has military chiefs and NPCL perfect strategy. Target is to meet oil production quota. All right, above the masthead, of course, the Kano story is also right here. So we'll move away from that. Tribunal orders NLNG to pay FIRS $27.5 million as 2016 revised tax. You wonder, 2016. Tribunal orders NLNG to pay FIRS $27.5 million as 2016 revised tax. Away from that, we have, of course, the story on the cholera. I need to take this so you can, of course, take caution. 103 dead, 3,623 cholera cases at the moment, according to NCDC. And we have, quickly now, at the bottom of the front page of the Nation newspaper, in a red strip, military land nationwide for cultivation to grow food items. You say that's the right step to take. All right, Chukudi.
Yes, the question you ask concerning the 13 states that are reportedly rushing to handle, council polls is they need to wait for the Supreme Court judgment, to do this. We have always frowned on a situation where the governors in the states are the lords of the manor in their different territories, and everything happens in accordance with their whim or caprice over a particular matter. It's a constitutional thing that local elections and local council elections happen when they should happen. I want to think that it is actually the threat to hold back funds from local governments that decide that caretaker committees are the best way to go that is prompting them to take action. Otherwise, ineptitude, tepiditude could still have,
it just tells you two things. When laws are enforced, people comply.
Sure.
The second thing is that it will appear that those states or those chief executives were deliberate in delaying or withholding those, or not conducting.
They have always been deliberate about it.
Because whatever stopped them from conducting those elections until now, if the Supreme Court had not given this judgment, if it were maybe a court of lower jurisdiction, probably the wait will continue until...
of course, they would have escalated it to appeal, and eventually the Supreme Court would have ruled. I like the way the federal government went about it. That is what statesmanship is all about. Now, the federal government, remember, is run by the APC. But the judgment against holding on to the desire not to hold elections in, for the councils cut across party lines. So that's a statesman-like behavior. And that is what I keep on asking for. You know, in those days, newspapers would be so eloquent on he was a detribalized Nigerian. It meant something when a man or woman showed that tribe or religion it was not part of what determined how they acted, towards the world outside. So it's a noble behavior on the part of the federal government, because they know that they will hurt their own APC governors who were guilty of it or who are still guilty of it, even when the court ruled against them. So it is something we should all really applaud. Let them get to work.
Again, we're continuing, deliberations, discussions on this matter.
The local government autonomy.
Yes, of course.
So you'll get
we'll get
more chunk.
Yes, of it. But let's look at another story. Labour and 30-day strike alleges plan to decentralize.
The first
now, my concern is the 30-day strike.
So the first thing you say is, may it not happen. Because 3 days is debilitating. 3 days is crippling. You know, here in Nigeria, we tend to take a lot of things for granted. 1 day's strike runs into billions, if not up to 1 trillion naira, in terms of what you lose, both from the ministries, departments, and the agencies, as well as the OPS, the organized private sector. So a strike should be a last resort. I am not knocking the heads of labor leaders and all that over the matter. I'm just saying this is the implication of not working for even a few days, let alone what? 30 days.
No, okay, and you started by saying that we hope
we better work to preempt it.
Look at the crux of the matter, Henry. Ajero, that's the NLC president, says, as we are here, a joint committee of the Senate, the House of Representatives, and the Judiciary are meeting. They have decided to remove Section 34 from the exclusive legislative list to the concurrent list. And what this means, according to him, is that the state governors can't determine what to pay you, and so that there will be no minimum wage again. You cannot decide what you should earn.
There are two issues that are contending. First of all, a living wage should not be something to be determined by the state or local councils or federal government alone.
That's what he said.
That should be across the board.
That's what he said.
A living wage.
Okay.
Thereafter, The states, the councils, and the federal government are free to go above the benchmark. But a living wage, which is about not treating some people as subhuman.
A minimum wage.
Minimum wage, that's what we call it. You must establish that living wage that cuts across. Whether you're a school owner, whether you're... So that is the most important of all the things they are talking about. Thereafter, I will actually support a move to say that you do not put on the table a wage that must be paid by everybody in the country. When you have hit that benchmark that respects human dignity. That's my take on it.
Yes, listen, it says the very moment the House of Representatives and the Senate come up with such a law that will not benefit Nigerian workers, there will be their drivers and gatemen, and there will be no movement for 1 month. We cannot accept any situation where the governors and the National Assembly members will foist a slave wage on workers and force poverty on the citizens. Organized labor will not accept.
Yeah, that's a luta continua, language.
You see, our prayer, like Chukwudi said, and I'm sure every Nigerian is, please, those involved in these negotiations should find a way to avert a 30-day strike. Just 1 day now.
It doesn't make sense for us.
It doesn't make sense.
I just hope that that strike doesn't come to pass, and I hope that.
Do you know how much a loaf of bread is, Henry?
About 2,000. That's like the normal average kind of bread, but there's some above 2,000.
You know, the Chukwudi's kind of bread.
Exactly.
Which one is my kind of bread? The above 2,000 or the one below 2,000?
By the way, yesterday I found that your mudu of sugar that used to sell for 2,800 naira as of last week is going for 3,500 naira.
Everything is hitting the roof.
So, anyways,
the sky.
But there's a story that interests me. It's about federal government has no plan to sell universities to private investors. Like what they say, no smoke without fire. So we just hope that there are no plans in this direction. Like the minister has said, it's very important because, if we get our universities in private hands, it means that the poor, the civil servants can no longer send their children to, Nigerian universities because, it will be way out of reach. Look at what private universities are charging at the moment.
That would be the first impulse for thinking that they will price themselves out of their market. But the truth is that in business, it is cutthroat behavior for you to price yourself out of your market. So an equilibrium usually results at the end of the day. The point is this: what level of competition are you going to introduce so that one errant private investor does not think he can take his own to the top of the Himalayas and nothing happens? If there is enough competition, really, at the end of the day, you'll find out that you need to be within range of what is affordable, But we are far from that stage, as it were. Everything is lopsided at the moment.
All right. You have another story. I have this one. Federal government warns 22 states of 5-day massive flooding. NIMET, NISA, NEMA, have all come out to, sound this warning. This one is, I'm sure that...
The warnings...
they are becoming...
These June, July warnings are almost ineffectual. Well, please, it does well to let me know that floods are going to come. Please, let's not downplay the relevance of these agencies. But I've always said that preemptive action, one of the southwest states, is actually now working on canals and drainages, better than many other states are going about it.
No, Jigawa.
These are the things we should have done right from when the last rain stopped. You need to be ready. It is not just the government. Even the culverts we're not clearing, the desilting we're not carrying out. It's part of the culpability that eventually percolates into disaster. So we should all work ahead of time.
Yes, working ahead of time. Please, let's just mention this cholera case. 103 dead already, despite warnings.
You narrowly missed becoming a medical doctor.
I'm just concerned because, these are lives. These are people's relatives,
Yes,
and this could have been avoided.
Okay,
so it's important to talk about it. And then
Serious matter,
I
really.
remember about last month when this started, we were just talking about 2, 3, 5, 15. Now we're talking about 103. And the warning is that with the floods that are coming in, of course, there'll be more illnesses, and this cholera is going to escalate. So
and the need for people to, maintain good hygiene. I mean, that's basically the cause factor, the causative factor for cholera.
Yeah,
once you're surrounding and then you're not, you don't wash your hands. We've all stopped washing our hands as frequently as
exactly.
COVID
mandated us. The man who does not have a history of regular stomach ache is the man that washes his hands regularly.
All right, Chukwudi, we are told, of course, we don't have to be told, our time is up. And as always, we thank you for coming to give value, to these reports. Thank you, and have a good day.
You too.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria. Please don't go away. We promise you a robust conversation when we come back.
We're live in the open market for Epic 10X Challenge. My people, today I will show you how the power of new Epic 10X gives your toilet a better cleaning than bleach.
Than bleach?
Yes, so.
Impossible.
Toilets have stains which bleach cannot clean effectively. But Epic is thicker and sticks better,
which gives 10X better cleaning versus bleach and kills germs.
Oh, wow. You can now see that Epic is better than bleach.
Bisola, how could you think that I'll be over you? I'm sorry for the pain, apologies are overdue. But hurting you, baby, is something I would never do. But don't think that I forgot about that wedding ring.
Name the most popular musician in Nigeria.
Ashake.
Did you just call Ashake's name? It's funny, Ashake.
I'm gonna swing on the chandelier, on the chandelier. I'm gonna...
We're live in the open market for Epic 10X Challenge. My people, today I will show you how the power of new Epic 10X gives your toilet a better cleaning than bleach.
Than bleach?
Yes, so.
Impossible.
Toilets have stains which bleach cannot clean effectively. But Epic is thicker and sticks better,
which gives 10X better cleaning versus bleach and kills germs.
Oh, wow. You can now see that Epic is better than bleach.
Nigeria means a lot to me.
And Nigeria means peaceful cohesion.
My country.
We continue to pray, and then hopefully we will come to understand that unity of purpose, unity of living together.
Our ethnic beliefs and background and culture is our strength.
Ever since the amalgamation period of 1914 to date, about 109 years ago, the people of Nigeria live very peacefully with one another.
I think diversity helps a lot to enhance robust development in Nigeria.
All over the country, you have so many ethnic groups, over 250. That is enough to tell you that this is a blessed country, and that God has kept, together as one indivisible entity.
Join body with your football buddy, GoTV, for correct goals and action. Ha! Sharply reconnect on top GoTV Max with 7,200 naira to touch live La Liga, Serie A, Europa, and select Premier League games live on top Super Sport. GoTV, love it.
All right, this is Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the NTA. Let's take some excerpts from our first conversation on this issue, talking about local government autonomy, as compiled by our colleague Ibrahim Bello Gunda.
when monies are allocated to local governments, they are moved to the private accounts of the treasurer, and then from the treasurer they are moved to the local government ministry for onward transmission to whoever, you know. But my worry, my concern is that in granting them this effective autonomy, if you so want, we should not go back to the era when teachers are not paid and primary health care workers are not paid.
Definitely there will still be need for constitutional alteration to streamline the position with what the Supreme Court has said. Because technically speaking, Section 16, the import of the Supreme Court decision yesterday has nullified Section 162 sub 6.
When they are given this money, they should be able to use it judiciously and be transparent with it, so that at the end of the day, the purpose of which this government is granted is not defeated.
In some states you have 2 years, in some states you have 3 years as a tenure for local government chairman or councillor. For God's sake, if you elect me for 2 years, the first year is for what? And then the second year is for election. So what am I going to deliver? In FCT, we've been, able to secure for the FCT area councils 4-year tenure.
Just like Lagos.
Yes, 4-year tenure. While we were in, as outgoing chairman, we had to go up and down, lobbying the National Assembly to secure additional 1 year for chairman. We are not beneficiaries of the 4-year tenure, but successive administration will now, starting from this council chairman, they are going to operate a 4-year tenure. That shows you that local councils now will have a way of determining how to support and provide dividends of democracy for their people.
All right, that was an excerpt of our conversation on the Supreme Court's judgment on the local government autonomy last week, Friday, and we thank Ibrahim Belogunda for compiling the excerpts for us. As we continue the conversation this morning and presently, let me quickly introduce our long-standing guest on this program. Good Morning Nigeria. He's been with us right from the inception about 10 years ago. Jide Ojo, Public Affairs Analyst. Jide, thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.
For being consistent and for being one of our loyal partners.
It's national interest, national work, national assignment.
Thank you. Enrique.
All right, so we also have joining us for the conversation Abubakar Ahmed Tanimu, a legal practitioner. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Always a delight being here.
All right, also joining us for the conversation. Okay, I'm sure that guest will join us once the connection is clear, and of course you get to meet the guest. So let's get into the conversation now.
Okay, so gentlemen, I really want to welcome you, Tanimu. It's good to see you once again. Now, we've started a conversation. Judy, thank God you were here with us last week, and the consensus on what has happened, that's the judgment of the Supreme Court, is that, it could be a good step in the right direction. And a lot of, many Nigerians, I should say, have applauded the decision. But there are also some who have some reservations about that, and they point at a particular section of the Constitution. And then my first question in that regard will be, in view of the provisions of the 1999 Constitution as amended, is the judgment of the Supreme Court on local government autonomy, is it in any way a contradiction of the provisions of separation of power and of federalism? Let me start with Tanimu.
Okay, thank you very much. This is a very important question, and when the judgment was given, a lot of people were celebrating, but for those of us that were in the legal profession, we said they should at least have a glance and go through what the judgment actually stipulates, and to make it as brief as possible, it's talking about financial autonomy. And the reality is that in interpreting every section of the Constitution, it's not done in isolation. It's done in a context. You look at each section as it relates to the other sections of the Constitution. And you see, the truth of the matter is that any action that you present before the court is the responsibility of the court to determine such kind of action that you have filed in court. If you approach the court and you say, for all intent and purposes, you want to declare that I'm a woman, and you have filed all the necessary processes, they will accept your filings and they will make pronouncement that, as far as they are concerned, I'm not a woman. So what has happened, I want to take us down to memory lane. If you all recall, before now, the president, the past regime of Muhammad Buhari made Executive Order 10. We all celebrated in similitude that local governments will have autonomy, and nothing came out of it. And now they've gone to court. The Supreme Court have given its judgment. The fact is that we are trying to put the cart before the horse. What obtains in the various local government will not change. The problem ever since has not been that funds are not being channeled to the local government. They have, by the operation of Section 162 joint account, whereby you have the state and the local government having a commissioner of local government and chieftaincy affairs and the rest, and they operate. But you see, we are now looking at it from one context. You equally have other provisions of the Constitution. If you look at federalism in its context, it varies from clime to clime. In some other jurisdictions, you have the states and the local government. That's the federal, that's the center, and the local government. Whereas in others, you have the center and the state. In Nigerian context, what we have in the Constitution is the federal and the state section.
But the context of federalism in the U.S., I mean, where we, you know, you also have other tiers.
Sure.
Yes, you have the division between the federal and state government, but you have other tiers of government that are also recognized by the various constitutions, which is similar to what we are practicing.
Okay, so
our constitution recognizes the place of the third tier of government.
If you say recognize, now let's look at it in terms of context. If you look at the federal, we have the National Assembly. If you look at the state, you have the State Assembly, the provision of the president, who should be the president, how the president will be elected, who should be the governor, how the governor will be elected. Their tenure is guaranteed. They have 2 terms of 4 years each. For the local government, at best what we have is that they are mentioned, all the 700 at the footnote, all the 700.
But they equally have a legislative arm.
They do.
The councillors.
But you see, the context.
It's because of their inability to rise up to their responsibility.
No, they cannot. So now let me tell you the reality. Because you now have states, at the various state level, you have state electoral commission, which the Constitution equally recognizes that states have the power to create state electoral commission, and they conduct election. I want to assure you that no state in Nigeria conducts free and fair election at the local government. While this debate is ongoing, Adamawa State did the election, 99.9% victory was returned to the government in power, that's PDP. They only lost a single, they just gave out that one so that there will be a semblance of an election process. If you have a local government chairman that is being imposed by the governor, no matter the electoral, no matter the financial independency, pronouncement of court and everything, it will still go back to the same process.
So what's what's your evaluation of the judgment? The judgment is in sync, but
the implementation in reality will not know anything will be achieved. Okay. If judiciary, at best what we can do is to share, is to be the paragon. Now we are now telling the public, the National Assembly, the various states of assembly, they now need to amend the Constitution.
We will get to that, yes.
You know, in reaction to what you have said and what some people have, said as regards this judgment, they think that it's against what the Constitution says. And I'm just going to quote the former governor of Delta State that said, that's James Ibori. He said that the Supreme Court judgment granting full autonomy to the local government operations in Nigeria is against the 1999 Constitution as amended. And he's quoting Section 162, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution, which says that funds in the Federation account should be distributed among federal, state, and local governments in a manner prescribed by the National Assembly. And then in Section 6, which states that each state should maintain a state joint local government account to receive allocations from the Federation account and the state government. Now, his argument is that the Supreme Court ruling undermines true federalism and allows the federal government to interfere with local government administration. Do you take his position on this matter, Jide Ojo?
Thank you, Larry. Everybody is entitled to their opinion on this matter. I've also listened to former governor of Ekiti State, Ayo Fayose, who said, oh, this is not going to achieve anything. You can't take a baby from the mother. So who is the mother? The governor. Who is the baby? It's the local government. Chairman. So, see, what people are saying is not law, it's practice. What my brother is saying is not law, it's practice. That the position of law, the Supreme Court has given its own interpretation. My governor in Oyo State has set up a committee to review the Supreme Court decision. Yes. And gave a marching order of 4 to 6 weeks to the Attorney General and the committee members to review the Supreme Court decision.
Meanwhile, the Supreme Court's decision is
the final.
Is the final.
So, if you are going to sit and review what the final court in the land has said, it shows you that some people just don't want a change. Incidentally, this is an issue I weighed in on in my column in the Punch of today. Apologies to mention this, because it's a burning issue. I happen to have been a product of a primary school that was established by local government, Ibadan City Council. IMG Primary School, Mokola Ibadan, Ibadan Municipal Government. How many of such exist today? I don't believe what the Supreme Court has done is antithetical to principle of separation of powers, checks and balances, or even in terms of federalism. When people quote Professor Casey Weir classical definition of federalism, that is sharing of power between the center and the federating unit, and they talk about 2 centers of power. Yes, if that's the way you want to go, is it today that local government start to exist? Local government has been in existence since the First Republic. Why didn't the framers of the Constitution say, don't even mention local government in the Constitution? Even my own newspaper, The Punch yesterday wrote an editorial where he disagreed with the Supreme Court. It's within the right of the newspaper, is their editorial, that the Supreme Court erred. And they were quoting the same classical definition of federalism. That's the same way Afenifere was quoting Supreme Court, classical definition of federalism, power between center and federating unit.
Yes.
So if we know, as a country, since First Republic, that we don't need a third tier of government, why have successive administration kept quiet and allowed the existence of this local government? Why have they not deemed it fit? We have had 1960 Constitution, 1963 Constitution, 1979 Constitution, 1999 Constitution. Yet, local government continues to feature. And all the eggers, legal luminaries, and political scientists of this country, they don't deem it fit to say, look, what you are doing is antithetical to the principle, classical definition of federalism. I don't think, and I'm of the school of thought that every country has its own unique way of doing things, of administering its own country. When Rocha Sokorocha, former governor of Imo State, when he assumed power, he decided to devolve power beyond local government and decided to have a 4th tier of government in Imo State. That was his own idea. There are 2 pathways to this. It's either we want to scrap, and I've written column on this. I said, look, it's either we want to scrap local government entirely, remove every shred of local government function, structure, composition, everything. Remove it from the constitution. Make it the local affairs of the governor. If a governor decides to go and establish 500 LCDA, so be it, if it has funding. But situations where we currently have, and we need to understand why the president intervened. The local government funds gets into the joint states local government account and are redistributed to fund LCDAs that were established which were not recognized by the constitution. They routinely dissolve state independent electoral commission, refuse blatantly to guarantee and grant state independent electoral commission financial and administrative autonomy. Now everybody is clamoring. This place where we were on Friday, people are saying, "Oh, let INEC take over the conduct of local government election." Is that in sync with the principle of federalism?
Jude, let's put you on hold at that point. Thank you. That's a question you've raised. Festus Oguche, another of our very valued contributor on Good Morning Nigeria, joins us via Zoom, and he's a constitutional lawyer and public affairs analyst. Mr. Oguche, I haven't seen you on the screen. Yes, thank you. Mr. Oguche, thank you very much for joining us. We are glad you were able to make it. And the issues that are emanating from our conversation this morning, first is we know that the judgment, as you lawyers would say, the Supreme Court, relies on that principle that you people call stare decisis. I don't know how you call it, decisis. And then, of course, arising from that, your judgment is what you call res judicata. It's final. No one can reverse it. The Supreme Court cannot reverse itself. So this judgment has come to stay. Let us look at its implementation, which is where my brother here, Abubakar Ahmed Tanimu, and a lot other people are talking about. Do you think, or what do you think would happen? Might there be an invocation of the doctrine of necessity to implement?
The thing is that the Supreme Court has exerted itself very positively in the area of ensuring independence and autonomy for the local governments. That's one area of judicial activism. That's what we call it, which relates to filling the gap, not only filling the gap, but taking hold of the policy of running or administration of local governments, the manner that to ensure its effectiveness and its efficiency. It's simply judicial activism. I don't know where res judicata come in or this other one that you said, stare decisis, it doesn't come in anywhere. The Supreme Court is a court of policy. Being that it is not just there to interpret the laws, but also to formulate policy, to give direction to certain government directives and principles to ensure that systems do not run amok or they do not go comatose, in the sense that also people are allowed to exercise their power in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. Section 7 of the Constitution is very clear on that the system of a democratically elected local government is hereby under this Constitution guaranteed. That is what it should be, that there must always be a democratized local government system at all times at that level of government. Let us remind ourselves that it doesn't make the local government a tier of government, because the Supreme Court has not even stated so, and the Constitution still looks at it as existing local governments as